Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Whatever. This is Teacher Ray. We're jumping into part 2 for Lost in Perfection. It's called Lost in Perfection on Netflix. All you got to do is go to Netflix and type Lost in Perfection, and I really hope you know how to spell that. It does have English subtitles. I'm only introducing films and dramas with English subtitles only, right? Because I don't like watching too many subtitles myself. It kind of takes away from the film. Now, question 1. What determines how much bail someone should pay? Now, I'm doing my best to not spoil the movie. I had fun writing this question because Trump got in trouble the other day and it was like a crazy, humongous fine that a bail amount that he had to pay. And I was just, I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of any politician, but I just had to say, what determines for him to get such a massive amount? Now, I have to be honest, he did it to himself. He did it to himself because actually it was someone who accused him, and then he started bad-mouthing her. He actually was accused for bad-mouthing her, and he kept bad-mouthing her. So I think he could have paid like $8 million, and then it ended up being like $300 million or something like that he had to pay her. It was just a ridiculous price. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut. But the point of the question was, what determines? Now, I'm not in the law or legal, right? But I have to say, what really determines how much bail you should pay? Or is it based on the reaction that you have after you've been sentenced? Like, do you realize what you've done? Like, are you understanding that the crime that you committed? Like, or are you just like, oh, whatever, I don't care? Because I think sometimes these judges are actually watching you. I think they're really, really watching you and monitoring your behavior to see how, because, it really comes down to the judge. Like, if the judge doesn't like you, they could put $100 million on you and be like, you're not getting out of anywhere, right? Or they could just put $1,000 because it seems like you really, really, didn't commit the crime, but, it's a legal system. We have to follow the rules. So what determines how much bail should someone pay? Guys, I need your comments and feedback. I want to know what you think. You can go back to that Trump, lawsuit or any lawsuit in Taiwan. You can share. You can post in Chinese, guys. You can post in Chinese in the comment section. Right now, there's all type of translation. I'm okay to read. But for the foreigners who are going to look at those comments, you can just press the translation button. So think about that, right? What determines how much bail should someone pay? Now, number 2, it gets juicy. Do you treat sex as a mission on the checklist, or do you really enjoy it? Guys, I'm in consulting. My business, description says business English consulting. But guys, this is absolutely not even close to what I'm doing. People are coming to me about relationship advice, investing advice, career advice, all type of things. And when I say relationship advice, they are asking me about sex. And I tell them, like, you have to be open with your partner, right? It's not that you have to have it because you have to have it. It's because you should enjoy it, right? You should enjoy this moment with your partner. But if you're doing it just as a check off list, guys, it will blow up back in your face. If there's a certain way that you like it and that you want your partner to do this with you, you should talk to them about it, guys. We're adults. You should communicate and say, I don't like this. I like this. I would prefer you do this. And if you've done this a million times and they don't change, well, you make your choice, because I'm not the one to encourage people to break up. But I'm encouraging people to be happy. If it's a checklist, I feel sorry for you. Right. Okay. I did it oh, we did it Thursday. We did it Tuesday. Oh, okay. I'm good for the week. Guys, this is something that is sacred and intimate with you and your partner. You should enjoy it. It should not be like, okay, I'm going to get the groceries. Okay. May love with my partner. Okay. It should not be like that. It should not be like that. It should sometimes be random, spontaneous, and just enjoy it. But I'm just warning you guys, once it's on a checklist, the love will fade. It will fade away. I really hope that it doesn't fade away for you, but I think it will, because you are making it like a list, like a to-do list, right? And trust me, humans are more sensitive than we think, right? So they will feel like, wait, like, did you just check me off your list? Like, and you better pray your partner doesn't find that list. If you got it written down or in your Apple Notes, you better pray to death. You better pray to the Lord. So do you treat sex as a mission on a checklist, or do you really enjoy it? And I really hope it's B. I really hope you enjoy it. You should enjoy it because it's you and your partner, right? Now, number 3, what would you do if you found out your fiance has a secret lover right before the wedding? It's not even about what would I do. It would be like, where am I going? I should rephrase that question. And that's for me, Teacher Ray. For me, if I found out right before the wedding, I would call my family members and I would say, hey, look, I'm sorry. How much was your plane ticket? Okay, give me a couple months. I'll give it back to you. How much was your hotel? And I would give them back their money, right? Because I know they probably, got their money together to come down. And nobody likes taking flights anymore to do anything. Everyone just likes to chill at home and be in their underwear and, scratching their neck and watching TV and eating fruit. I'm literally describing me. Don't be jealous. So if that happened right before the wedding will be canceled, right? I'm a person okay, a lot of people ask me what would you do if your partner cheated? I always tell people, I don't own anybody. If you decided, I would be angry because you wasted my time, right? And you could have told me that you weren't happy with me. And you could have been open with me to tell me that this was not the relationship you wanted. And you could have been upfront with me the moment before, right? But you did it, and then I found out right before the wedding. That's why I tell people, don't get caught. And I'm not saying don't get caught in that aspect. I'm saying just don't do that. Be open with your partner. Say, hey, I'm not happy with you. And if they can't understand that, and it's kind of like a cry for help when you say, I'm not happy with you. You're saying hey, I'm not happy with you. Also translate hey, can we try another way to save this relationship? I think that's another translation for that. But if it's right before the wedding, it's way too late. Your marriage is ruined. Your whole relationship is ruined. And your partner's family probably will hate you forever. And I don't like to live in a world where a bunch of people hate me. I can't satisfy everybody, guys. You just can't satisfy everybody. Don't even try, right? It's just a waste of life, a waste of blood. But you got to first satisfy yourself in this situation. But if it's right before the wedding, and go back, let me get back to that part. So if it was me, my friends know me. If you did something to hurt me like that, I would be angry for wasting the time. Let me stop deviating. But when you came back to the apartment, it probably will be empty. You probably will be blocked on my phone. You probably will never see me again. There's no point of yelling at you, right? Because I always believe damage is done. Damage is done. It's done. You've done it. I've seen it, the messages. I've seen some pictures. I've seen the consistent hidden posts. I've seen it. So there's nothing really to discuss. And it's funny, when I go to when you see the movies, it's they always why? There's no why. It's done. There's nothing for you to explain to me. But if you want to tell me what did I mess up on or why or how great this guy was, sure. Just make me hate the guy even more. Make me hate you more. Just rub it in my face. But for me, I would disappear, right? If it's right before the wedding, I would literally talk to my family and say, hey, give me a couple months. I will pay all your money back for wasting your time. And we would go drink. And then I would be single. When I show up at the bar, I would be single again, and I would be ready to move on in my life. I would need some time to heal, to get back, into myself. But this really sucks. It's right before the wedding, the day you're supposed to just give yourself up to someone for your whole life. So for me, I would just literally disappear from that person's life. Now, after you caught your fiance cheating, should you move on or try to rekindle the flame? This kind of piggyback for the Taiwanese listener means it kind of feeds off the last question. So this kind of piggybacks off the question I just asked. After you've caught your fiance cheating, should you move on and try to rekindle the flame? There's nothing to rekindle. They've made their choice, guys. When people make their choice, the choice is made. As a consultant, I have to consult my clients on all type of situations. And I always say, hey, if they went that far as a fiance, right? And this is why I say we got to stop marrying because of tradition, because you are going to eventually run into a red wall. Don't marry because of the age and because you want a baby right now. Marry because you love this person, not because of legal issues. Or if you're in a culture where you got to do it because family to family, sorry, do your thing. I'm not talking about that. But if you caught your fiancé cheating, should you move on or rekindle the flame? For me, I believe if someone has gone out and cheated, there's nothing to rekindle. There's nothing to, because for me, I'm a Cancer, and I'm not going to tell you my Chinese Xing Shao. I don't want you to guess my age, but I'm a very sensitive person. Once you've done that, for me, there's nothing left to discuss. You've done your damage. Like, I don't want to rekindle anything. There is no flame. There's not even a lighter to turn the flame on. So for me, why rekindle it? That's just for me. That's just Teacher Ray's opinion. If you caught your fiancé cheating, piggybacking off the next one, I'm moving on in a Porsche, and I'm moving on quickly. I'm moving on in a Cybertruck. I'm gone. I'm moving on. I'm out of there. It's nothing to discuss. Now, number 5, do you believe in having a life partner? I absolutely do. Well, guys, what are we doing if we don't believe it? Who wants to be alone forever? And I know there's a lot of stubborn people out there that are literally like, I'm fine being single. Trust me. No. Everybody wants to be checked on. Everybody wants to be, hey, how are you, Ray? How's your work? How's life? Hey, you want to have a drink? Nobody just wants to be alone all the time. That's from a friend perspective. But then there's a life partner perspective. Like, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? You want to have fun together, things like that. That's a whole different perspective. Do you believe in having a life partner? I always will. Having a life partner is probably one of the greatest things. And you notice I didn't say wife or husband. Because for me, these titles, guys, I never liked these titles, like wife or husband. Yeah, whatever, write it down in the book. But even if I got married again, I am divorced. If I got married again, I would just call my future wife, I would still call her my girlfriend. Because I think that kind of keeps the fun in the relationship. As long as you're not saying it to hide from a situation because you're talking to some really, really beautiful girl or some really handsome guy and you don't want them to know, that's another story. You're doing something wrong. But with my partner, I would say, hey, you're my girl. You're my girlfriend. I actually like to call my partner like my woman. Right? Because when you say wife, I don't know why it's like a cloud just kind of shoots over when you say husband. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's the society that we've grown up in. Maybe it's the craziness that's going on in our world that we've clouded this word with so much negativity. So for me, I would love to call my partner my woman or my girl or mine. Right? But I don't want to say like, hey, my wife. Because every time but I think movies have messed up this title. I totally believe into it. Now, 6. Could you marry someone who just couldn't satisfy you? Oh, this is a hurtful one. How do you tell your partner your love and your sex is terrible? Right? How do you tell them? This is a very sensitive question, right? Say, hey, like, you suck. No, you can't say that. It's like, hey, you're terrible. Like, I don't even want to do it with you anymore. Could you marry someone who just couldn't satisfy you? Right? And when I say satisfy, I mean like sex and pleasure and making you happy, right? So could you marry someone who just couldn't get it right? Because usually what happens, guys, when relationships fade away and you're not giving attention to your partner and it's too long, like a year, 2 years, guys, come on, be realistic. People's eyes start wandering. They start searching. They start waiting for the soul to be, reopened again because you have killed the soul. You stop loving your partner. Guys, it's not about it's losing the flame. Keep your body in shape. Keep the original, the love that you had. Like, once you start coming home and work's fine. Talk about something else, right? If you have kids, play a game with your wife and say, hey, first person that talks about kids got to put 1,000 on the table. Or the first person to talk about kids, they got to cook dinner for a week. Because there's so many other things in the world to talk about. And I have to talk about this point because a lot of times I notice that not even a lot of time, this is the future. We are on the phone so much, and this is back to the last episode that I mentioned about the cafe, the couple. We are on the phone so much that we are losing how to communicate. We are losing how to express ourselves. We can't even express our feelings anymore. And this is what happens in relationships. We can't express ourselves. And if we can't express ourselves, how do we express our love? Right? Be realistic, guys. How do we express love? And that's something that we really got to take in consideration. So we have to learn how to have conversation, socialize. Now, I'm talking about it, and I know you're not going to have a conversation for every single time you hang out. I know that. I'm human. I'm not inhumane. I'm human. But a lot of the times, relationships break up because of the big C word, communication. Very true. They just break up because people are not willing to communicate. They don't make efforts to communicate. And I mentioned this several times, right? So you got to be open with your partner to say, hey, could we try something else? Or could you try this? Could you try that? But not just necessarily be like, hey, like, it's just not working. You're not satisfied. You got to give the person a chance. Next question. Are insurance and beneficiary regulations and conditions too traditional? Yes, guys. I think that's why I'm really working hard not to spoil this movie. But I would have to say there has to be some type of change. There's too much associated with like stamps and signatures. It needs to kind of get into the more, this is a new generation. We should start getting into digital signatures like face, voice, like we have to physically show up at a location and show our face or virtual or our secret phrase. We got to change the way, because right now it's really, people can come. How many movies have we saw? And it's all about this insurance, right? They're always trying to do something with the insurance policy. Do you have insurance or something? Because a lot of people out there are broke, guys. There's a lot of broke people out there. So they're going to find some way to find someone to get what they have without working for it, right? Or to get money. There's plenty of movies in America about this, like the insurance, your assets, your house, and they try to marry people to get it on. Guys, we got to find a better way to protect our assets and protect what belong. I don't want to say belong, but protect what should be going to your kid. I guess should and belong are no different. Now the last one, it says, if the law is failing and someone is cheating your family member, would you trust the law or take matters into your own hands? Oh, yeah, this is a tough one. There's so many times like we watch movies in Taiwan and the States, and, the law just messes up, right? They just don't get it. Evidence is there. The evidence is just literally clear as day, right? The evidence is crystal clear, right? It's crystal clear. But in the end, the justice is not served, right? The justice is not served, and your family member is hurt, broke, and whoever that loser was is walking away with $1 million. And I hope it's Zimbabwe dollars, because if it's $1 million USD, I pray for you. Zimbabwe $1 million is nothing. So if you're wondering like why I mentioned that, because I always like that if you go to Zimbabwe, you have like so much money. It's actually not that much value. But if the law is failing, right, and someone is cheating, I would not trust the law. If the law is not catching the situation, if the law is not understanding the situation, they don't see what's going on, the evidence is here. And then sometimes you just don't know. This is the sad part about our world. Justice is not served to be served. It's all about connections. And it sucks, it's sad, and I'm sorry. Right? 3 S's. It sucks, it's sad, and I'm sorry. It's all about connections. If one person has better connections than you, no matter how innocent you are, I'm sorry. It sucks and it's sad. It's true. What would you do to take the matters into your own hands? Right? What would you do? Now, I'm not telling you guys to go do anything. I'm just asking you, what would you do? Let me clarify that. I'm in a place where you got to be careful what you say. So would you trust the law? I would trust the law to do what it does, which is not much. That's what I would trust. Now, take matters into your own hand. I think if you can take matters into your own hand without anybody getting hurt, but you solving the situation, like maybe you got to dig a little bit. I do like PIs, right? PI is for the Taiwanese is a private investigator. Because sometimes the court doesn't have the resources, There's no resources out there to help you. And it's just basically you are on your own. Right. You're on your own. You got to do what you got to do by yourself. And you need to take that into consideration. I am not telling you to go hurt people. But if there's a situation out there and the law is not serving what it's supposed to serve, the justice is not being served at all, and you do have to take matters into your own hand. But make sure you know exactly what you are doing. That's all I say. Know what you're doing out there. Don't do something stupid. Don't do something regrettable. Take it into your own hands the legal way. Get a private investigator. Hire a private lawyer. Find someone with the right connections. The law is not always on our side because, guys, it's controlled by humans. Humans change. Humans are not always the best, even if it's a judge or not. They're humans. So in that situation, you got to think, okay, my family has been cheated out of his money or her money, and the law has done nothing. The person who took the money has legally found a loophole, a lodong, to get the money from my family, and I can do nothing. So then you would probably have to find a legal way to get some revenge, or you would probably have to find some evidence of them doing it before. But you probably need a really good amount of money to pay that lawyer, whoever's going to help you. And so private investigators are really, really good and useful for that situation because you need to learn how to take the matters into your own hand the legal way. I am not promoting you to do something illegal. So the first question is, what determines how much bail someone should pay? I really got to know your comments, guys, because I know in every country there's some illegal issues out there that's crazy, and we all wish it was served differently. Do you treat sex as a mission on a checklist, or do you really enjoy it? I pray it is not a checklist in your life, because that is not a life to live, that you're just checking it off the list. You're hurting yourself, first of all, and you're hurting the other person when they finally find out it's not what you wanted. It will just hurt everybody. And then it says, what would you do if you found your fiancé had a secret lover before the wedding? Teacher Ray would disappear in thin air. That's just for me. You make your choices. After you caught your fiancé cheating, would you try to move on and rekindle the flame? There's no rekindling for me. I'm sorry. I'm moving on. Do you believe in having a life partner? Yes. A big Y-E-S, a capital Y-E-S. Could you marry someone who just couldn't satisfy you? That's something you got to discuss with your partner. That is a very sensitive conversation that is unavoidable. So please talk to them about that. Are insurance and beneficiary regulations and conditions too traditional? Absolutely yes. A big yes. Times have to change. And if the law is failing, what will you do? Guys, find a private investigator. Do not go out there and try to do something if you don't know the law, or get a very good lawyer who's your friend. And that is part 2 of Lost in Perfection. It is on Netflix. It does have English subtitles. Go check it out. Come check out Lights, Camera, Whatever. Leave your comments below. Thank you for listening.